Sometimes people bring you a story and it turns out to be so much more, and that's the case with this next story. It's about an amazing program out of New Hampshire called Operation Hat Trick.
This is a story about hats, but in order for it to make sense, for it to really matter, I need to introduce you to these two heroes. Nathan Hardy, U.S. Navy SEAL, Purple Heart recipient, Operation Iraqi Freedom, handsome, all-American kid who grew up in New Hampshire playing soccer, but with a lifelong dream of becoming a Navy SEAL. Killed in Iraq, February 4th, 2008, trying to pull his fellow SEAL, Mike Koch, to safety. Stephen and Donna Hardy both work at the University of New Hampshire. Steve is a professor. They are Nate's parents.
And they trained together, and they were together in Iraq in '08. And in one night, they were rolling up what they call a Al-Qaeda suicide bomb cell that a couple of weeks prior had strapped up two Down syndrome women with explosives under their burqa and pushed them out into a busy marketplace and blew them up. And that's what their world was. That's what they were dealing with.
They died side by side, buried side by side at Arlington National Cemetery. President Bush remembering them on Memorial Day right after their passing.
We remember two Navy SEALs, Nathan Hardy of Durham, New Hampshire, and Michael Cook of State College, Pennsylvania.
And now the memory of these men very much alive all over the country now. And Dot Sheehan is a big reason for that. She was listening to the radio one day. She heard something she just couldn't ignore, a story about how young men and women serving our country, coming back from battle with head injuries, that all they wanted was a hat to cover their wounds. As a senior athletic director at UNH, she came up with Operation Hat Trick.
A baseball cap is American culture. That's what it is.
You know what a hat trick is. 3 achievements 3 times during a game. In hockey, the same player, 3 goals, 1 game. So for every 2 hats sold, a third was donated to go to veterans hospitals all across the country, and Dot would deliver them.
Because so many had heads that were swollen, bandaged, burned, scars, and a hat, as one of the soldiers would tell me the first year we went to Walter Reed, "Ma'am, you've almost made me feel normal again today." That hat covered a lot.
Just months after Operation Hat Trick started, that's when Nate was killed. Dot went right to the Hardys and wanted to dedicate them in Nate's memory. They, of course, were honored.
It's dedicated to Nate Hardy and Mike Koch.
And something else you should know, the Hardys lost their eldest son, Josh, from cancer in 1993, and then Nate. I asked them, how do you go on after burying 2 sons, and not only go on, but to go on and make a difference?
For us, Maria, it's, how could we not? Nate's the second son we've lost. We've given these hats to a number of team guys, which is what you call the SEALs, and when we see their response, that's enough for us.
And when you hear that, it shouldn't surprise you that the son these parents gave life to was a man who every single time he went into battle, he did it with an American flag folded and pressed tight to his body. It was always underneath his uniform and body armor, and he didn't talk about it. Nobody knew that until he passed. So if you get one of those hats, you see them in a college and you flip that tag and see Nate Hardy, you should remember that.
Operation Hat Trick generates funds to support the recovery, education, and future employment of wounded soldiers and veterans through the sale of OHT-branded merchandise. Today, 98 schools nationwide have adopted Operation Hat Trick. A royalty from the sale of each OHT hat goes to respective schools, with an additional royalty going to those organizations that support the recovery of wounded soldiers and veterans. Most schools are now turning their royalty into scholarships for those needing retraining, resulting in a more formal education that will ultimately increase future employment opportunities. You too can make a difference by purchasing an OHT hat and/or by making a direct donation to OHT. For more information, visit OperationHatTrick.com. On behalf of those who have suffered unthinkable injuries but still maintain an incredible strength of spirit and dedication to country, thank you.